What's up, everybody? Hope you're all having a great day today. My name is QMan2001, and today I'm here to show you my latest build, which I like to call the mine. Now, I started this build about a year ago. It's been quite a long work in progress, and it's almost entirely made out of pieces that I just have had in the past, and just from other Lego sets that I've gotten and things like that. So this build is basically, it's a mine, as what it's called, but it includes other features such as a house for all the miners, a crane to pick up and load up the gold that they find, and a few docks just for the various trading boats that come in. It features a blacksmith, which is used for, pounding out the gold and creating all the things they need to out of it. And most of all, it mainly includes a lot of detail, such as the rock around it and the trees and just the landscape in general. There's a small cave underneath that has a lot of detail in it too. So I'm really proud of this build. So here, let me show you the other parts of it. So this build is a pretty big one. It's about 20 inches by 20 inches on the base, and then it's about 14 inches high. It's built on three 32 by 32 base plates, which you can see there, and there's a red one in the back and a green one on the other side. And then it's also built over here on two 8 by 16 plates right there, and also a 16 by 16 base plate. So moving on to show you some of the features of this build, the first one I want to show you is this house. Now this house is for the workers, the miners, all the people that work here who, if they don't want to go to and from work every single day, they can just live here, and that will just allow them to get straight to work pretty easily. So this house is a decently detailed house, but I tried to make it really simple since it's not supposed to be luxurious or anything. And I gave it a slanted roof with a nice little chimney in the back. And I also added this small disc here, which I got inspiration for that from the Palace Cinema set that they released a few years ago. And that set, I actually had that set, so that's where that thing comes from. But I eventually broke it because I like building things more than just looking at them. So inside this house, if we want to look inside, all you have to do is grab this thing up here. You can grab it by the back too. Probably gonna do that. You can just slide it up like that. It just comes off like that. It's a pretty simple thing. If you look at the back there, it's just connected by those two things. So inside, on the other hand, it's pretty compact. We've got a small little fireplace there, and over here we've got a stove with probably some noodles cooking or something. And then over here in the corner, we've got a little bed tucked away. And then over here, I put a little seat there, just in case they need some comfort and such. So that's the house pretty much. I mean, I quite like it. It's just a simple little build, but it still adds so much to the place. So the next feature I'd like to show you guys is this crane here. Now this crane, I tried to make it as detailed as I could because I wanted to look more industrial than everything else on this build. So I decided to add all these little details, like these little pegs sticking out, things like that, and this wheel. And then I also, if we go around to the back here, I added in the back some kind of like extra weights to make it look like it's counterbalancing itself. Now, these weights don't actually do anything in real life because they're not very heavy. They're little Legos. So if you look at it, it's actually kind of tilted because it's heavier on this side, but they still add a little bit of a purpose. Now, I also added in here just a little place for the guy to sit. Now, it's got some little controls, things like that, so I thought that was a pretty cool detail. And also, this part of the build is probably the most functional. As you can see, it can move around like this, and so it can go almost 360 except for that, as you saw there, it starts running into things. So that's one part of it. But then also, if you look here, this part here doesn't really want to focus on it, but that's okay. This part can spin, which pulls this up, drops it down, things like that. And then, but at the same time, I also made it so that if you look at this, you can move it side to side, which would allow more movability for if you're trying to go around something, then you can go around it, or if you're trying to just get closer to the buildings and drop it right there, then you can do that. Now the next feature is all of this building stuff. So there's like these docks here. Now this dock over here has like kind of like a small little fountain pool thing where, I don't know, you can like wash your hands, something like that. But then it also has these torches, which I thought was a pretty good way to light up the place. Now over here we also have another dock, which this one isn't as much for loading up things and for commercial boats as the other one is, but this one's more just like personally for the house, just a small little feature. Now this here, this is kind of the stairway that connects the two areas of the build. It connects the house and this area over here, which is kind of like the main center. And this area is held up by this, but if you look underneath here, it's also kind of going over this cave here, which you can't really see in the back, but this cave goes pretty deep. It goes almost to the end of this build. It goes almost all the way to the back. And so this little cave I thought was an interesting feature. It made it a lot harder to build because I didn't have as much support near the top, but I still think that it adds a lot to the build. So over here we have the main center of the build, which includes getting up to this crane and the entrance to the mine, and also this dirt path that goes up to this blacksmith. Now over here, as you can see, we have one of the miners walking out, but we also have a treasure chest right here, which if we open this, it's filled with some gold. And then we also have some tools, and in this little barrel here, if we open that, that's also filled with a little bit of gold. So, and then also we have these torches again, which I thought were a pretty good detail. So that's basically kind of like the main structure of all the buildings here. So the next part of this build is the mine. Now this mine is kind of like the main attraction of the entire build. That's kind of what it's named after. And this mine, as you can see in here, we have a little sign that says there's people working here. But also, you can't really see down there, but that goes down all the way basically to the base plate. And we also have, just come over here and move this guy. Sorry, dude. Right here, this little, kind of like this rope that's attached to this turning thing. You can turn this thing, and what's connected to it is, you can't really see it now, but I'll see if I can get a good angle on it. If you look down there, then when you move this thing up, and there's a little mine cart down there. You guys probably can't see it, but it's connected to this thing, and this thing's used just to kind of pull up that mine cart if you really want to. So let's see if we can get it all the way up here. Seems like it's stuck on something, but that's okay. So along with this mine here, there's also this rock above it that I tried to make look really detailed, just make it look like the entrance to a cave a little bit. So let's put this thing back right there. So then if we come around to the back here, then right here is another entrance to the mine. Oops, sorry guys. This thing's connected to my hand, so I tried to move my hand and it did not work. So if you look in here, I'll see if I can get a light in here. but this is kind of like the entrance to the, not the entrance, but I tried to make this look as if it's kind of like cut off. So normally there would be like a bunch of land here and stuff, like more of this that goes out. So this would be underground, and this would just be a tunnel that comes throughout the mine. So one feature of this mine is that if you look up here where this blacksmith is, you can actually take this blacksmith, lift it out of the ground, put it to the side, and now you can look inside of here. So I'll see if I can get a light going through into here. So if you see over here, we have this door here. Now this door is actually connected to the outdoor cave, and then we also have right there is kind of like the, I don't know what you'd call it, but kind of like the base for the mine cart. So the little mine cart would go down, and then it would stop there. So also, as you can see, just on these walls and stuff, there's a little bit of gold and things like that. And so that's pretty much the mine. And down there, there's also some gold and stuff, but you can't really see it that well. But so that's the mine. So now if we put this back, then that's about, and then all there is to that. So another part of this build is the blacksmith. Now, as you can see here, we have our blacksmith, which he's pretty much in charge of all of this. He's got his pot of gold that he's holding. And then if we move him out of the way, and back here we can see what we have here is we have these tools right about there. And then we also have this small anvil that has some gold on it that he's pounding out. And then over here we have this tall, kind of like a furnace type thing, just for melting down any of the gold, and so that they can form it into whatever they need to. Kind of like smelts it down. So also part of this was this big smokestack that I made for it. Now this thing, I think I tried to make this really ruined, just to kind of show that it's kind of been here for a while. It's something that's been part of this mine for a very long time. That's why it's got so much different shapes and different pieces to it that make it look more and more ruined. So then another part of this is over here. Now it's kind of hard to get a view on it because there's so much in the way, but that over there, that's kind of like almost, it's kind of like this bucket of gold that they've smelted down, so that if he ever needs some, he can just scoop it out of there, and it keeps it hot and stuff so that he can form things out of it. So that's the blacksmith, and I kind of added this blacksmith so that it would just kind of add a little bit of liveliness, so that it's not just, oh, here's a gold mine and they're making gold. That's it. Then this kind of adds like what they're doing with the gold and the process, things like that. So the very last part of this build that I want to show you is the landscaping. Now this probably took the most time. As you can see, I added these cliff walls and such that these took hours upon hours of time to build. Now some of these pieces, these gray pieces, I actually had to buy because I didn't have enough of them, but luckily they weren't too expensive. But I knew that I knew what I wanted for this build, and I knew that it would be worth it in the end. So back here, as you can see, these lines that go across this wall, I kind of wanted to show that, like, if you look at pictures of actual rock, it's not just one color, it's more like a bunch of veins of different colors, of different types of rock going through it. So I wanted to portray that through these different kind of like squiggled lines going across here. So then also, as you can see, this rock kind of wraps around the build and kind of creates this mountain shape here. But also right here, I decided to create this kind of like dirt path going from this main center area all the way up to the blacksmith. Now this one took me a while because it was kind of hard to support it because it has so many different shapes and sizes, but I think in the end it looked pretty good and I'm quite happy with it. Now Another big part of this build are these trees. Now, these trees also took a while, and I'm quite happy with them. This one was kind of like the leftover green pieces that I had, so it was a little bit harder to get a good shape out of it, but I think it ended up pretty good in the end. And then this over here, this tree. Now this tree was pretty hard to build. It took me quite a while, but also it's really fragile. Like if I just poked part of this, then it would probably break something off. So this part you have to be really fragile with, but I think it turned out pretty well. I'm not sure kind of what tree I was going for. I was just kind of going for a cool shape that made it look a little bit more realistic than just like a round pointy tree or something like that. So I thought that came out pretty good. And then also I just have this kind of this grass going around here that I tried to add some different shades of green in so that it would make it look a little bit better, which as you can see I also did on the tree just to add some detail to that. So that's basically the entire build, and I hope you guys liked it. I think it turned out pretty well. It's definitely my biggest project that I've ever had, but if you guys liked it, then just leave a like down in the video. If you really like it and you want to see more, I'm probably going to be coming out with more videos of other things, such as right now I'm working on a remote control car that I'm building, so I think that'd be pretty cool. So if you guys liked it, be sure to like the video. Just let me know if there's anything that you want me to do better, and that's it. Thanks guys.